Sorry, Stephen, my camera's gonna pick this up. I apologize in advance.
Oh, it's gone. Okay.
Just gonna pick on the board. I apologize.
What?
Trying to find where stuff is.
I can still hear that cough drop so well.
So vividly in your
I can
brain.
almost taste
No,
it.
it says.
It's like tinnitus,
class
but
does
cough drop
say
sounds.
A209. So, interviews, ladies and gentlemen, let's start again here. Okay. So, what do we know about interviews? They're scary. Yeah. They're. What else?
Professional.
The professional. Okay, yeah, they're all professional. So you walk into an employer's door. What should you do if you're going to interview with a company? Any company, doesn't matter whether it's healthcare or,
Just nice.
well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Show up early.
Research them.
No, before you even get there, do your research. Know something about the company, whether it's Publix or Walmart or MD Anderson. You need to know what you're letting yourself into. You need to know some background on the company, and if possible, find out who's going to be interviewing you and see if you can do some research on them. For example, when I came for my interview, I knew that Dr. Henning was going to interview me, so I did research on him. I looked up his PhD thesis and read it. Didn't understand a lot of it, but I read it. So I could pick out stuff, because you need to ask some questions at the end of the interview. So do some research. If you're going to apply to Memorial Hospital downtown, know something about Memorial Hospital. Who runs Memorial? Anybody know?
HCA.
Pardon?
Is it HCA?
It's HCA. And what is HCA? What does it stand for?
Healthcare Centers of America?
Excuse me?
Healthcare Centers of America?
No, it's actually Hospital Corporation of America. Almost.
Good guess.
Yeah, those.
There's only 2 hospitals in this area that's run by HCA. One is Memorial, and one is a hospital in Palatka. So what do we know about HCA? It's the largest healthcare employer in the world. In the world. It's huge. So you might need to do some research on that. What's their policies? What's their mission? What's their values? They should all be on the front page of their website. Is there a difference in the policy and mission and vision of the radiation therapy department as there is of the hospital? Sometimes there is, not so much the mission, because the mission tends to be throughout, but the vision. Or it could be a bit of both. So that's something you need to know. Find out who's going to be interviewing you, if possible. They may not tell you, but it's worth an ask. And do some research on them, if you can. Put in their name in Facebook and see what you find out. Facebook is a wonderful thing, but it's also a dreadful thing. Never put anything on Facebook that you never want an employer to see.
Oh, God.
Misspent youth and all that, you know? You can put things online, but they never go away. Remember that. Okay. So, advanced preparation. Step 1. An inventory of your attributes. What makes you capable of going to see them? So, education. Well, you've got the education, or you will have the education that you need. You've sat the exam, you've got it. You can even start applying for jobs even before you sit the exam. Once you've graduated, you are registry capable. So remember that. Experience, both paid and unpaid. What is unpaid experience?
Clinicals.
No, nothing to do with the department, nothing to do with you've got your education, clinical's part of the education. What would be unpaid experience?
Volunteer.
Volunteering. If you volunteer for the Red Cross or for Boys and Girls Clubs or something like that, that's experience. If you worked in customer service, you worked in a store, you worked in a jewelry counter, for example, that's still customer service. That lends you in good stead for talking to patients. You get difficult people there, right? Okay, skills and competencies. That's where your clinicals come in. The questions that might be asked of you. What machines have you worked on? Well, the two main machines are, what two main machines are there? Types of machines. Varian and Electa. There are some Siemens machines around, but not very many of them. So it would be Varian and Electa. Which do you like best? That's a tricky one, because if you can find out what machines they have in the department, you say, well, I've mostly worked on Electa, but I find the Varian really good. I'd like to have a little more experience on that. That's a good thing, because then they know that you're willing to learn, right? The same thing if it's the opposite. Well, I've worked on Varian a lot, but I see you have Electa. I'm really looking forward to trying to learn more about Electa. It's all the way you phrase it. You're not telling them fibs, you're not telling them untruths, but it's just the way you spin it. Clubs and organizations. Now, some departments will not ask you this, but one word of advice: if you work for things like the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts or boys and girls clubs or something like that, that's fine. What is recommended is that you don't mention any organizations that are, how shall I put this?
Politically divisive.
Well, no, things like, Catholic charities or controversial subjects. Although Catholic charities aren't really controversial, but you know what I mean. Knights of Columbus or something like that, yeah. Extracurricular activities. What do you like to do? Do you like to swim? Do you like to climb? Do you like to walk? Do you like to hike? Do you like to read books? Do you like whatever it happens to be? But try and join up with what you'll be doing. So I like to read, and I've been reading some stuff on your company's website. It's really good, and I'd like to learn more. Work ethics. This is always a good one. Work ethics. You're not going to go in there and say, oh, I like only working so hard. I don't really like working hard. No. Don't say that. And values, of course. The one good thing to say is that I noticed that your department is patient-centered. Patient-centered is the information these days. Everybody should be patient-centered. And if they ask you what that means, what does it mean? What does patient-centered mean?
Patients come first.
Patients come first, yeah. Let's face it, as somebody once said, if it wasn't for the patients, we'd all be out of a job. So it's patient-centered. And values, of course. The tricky thing is sometimes I applied when I was coming down to the States, I applied in Albuquerque. And it was a St. Joseph's Hospital, which used to be run by nuns and is now a secular thing, but they still have nuns on the board and stuff. And the values part, and I'm thinking, oh great, you know. I wasn't raised Catholic. The only time I've worked with nuns is when I've treated them, but anyway. Nothing came up on that. It was just, you know, will you have any problems of working with other religions? And no. Sometimes what they'll ask is if you have problems working with other ethnic groups. What do you say to that? No. No, I'll work with anybody. So, profile, create a personal resume, a professional resume. Look for ways to put a positive spin on your career history. So, obviously with radiation therapy, you won't have much to put in to a resume, right? You're sort of, even when you graduate, you won't have much to put in. What you can do is you can put in your own areas where you worked. So for example, if you worked on a barium machine in one department, and then the next clinical site you worked in had Electa, so you have experience, not much, but experience of both Electa and Variant during your training. That's all you can really do. However, career history. What did you do before you came here? Did you work? Were you another college? Did you do something else? Who's worked before that? Who's worked before? Who is still working? Yeah. So you have experience. It may not be really therapy experience, but you have experience on something. Put that down too. Create a powerful, competent, and experienced image by using action words to describe yourself and your accomplishments. So what would your action words be? What would your action words be?
Teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay.
Competency.
Motivated,
Discipline.
disciplined, competent.
Detail oriented.
Pardon?
Detail oriented.
Detail oriented. Yeah. What else?
Proficient in.
Pardon?
Proficient in blah blah blah.
Proficient in whatever. Yeah. But make sure you are proficient in whatever you're saying. Okay. Okay. And later on, we'll go and we'll actually do a resume. See what you do. Be yourself. All the credit you deserve. Give yourself all the credit you deserve. Be totally honest, but don't shortchange yourself by underestimating or minimizing your accomplishments. Have a professional critique of your resume. You know, there's somewhere in the school, there's somebody who will actually critique your resume. I can do that for you, but somebody else in there. So all of this has to be done before you even start going to do your interview. Okay. Make sure you and the position are a match. You're just out of school and there's a job posting for someone and it says must have 2 years experience. Gonna apply for that? No. Now if it says new grads may apply, but experience is, thank you, yes. So you can apply for that. So duties of the position, what are you going to be doing? So you read the website, or you read the notice, and it says, all this stuff that you can do, set up patients, do the calculations, etc., 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 etc. And then at the very bottom, it says other duties as assigned. You'll find that on all of them. That means you can be asked to do anything at all. Other duties as assigned. But it can be out of your scope. So it could be things like taking the laundry over to wherever it has to go to, that kind of thing. Compensation range, what's the pay like? Now some departments or some job openings will specify a salary range, others will not. Location. Some departments have 2 sites. Will you be working at both, or will you be only working at one? And if so, you'll be expected to travel, obviously. And they usually mention that. Work schedules. And it usually tells you day shift, which will be something like 8 till 4:30 or 7 till 3:30 or something. And it says shifts variable. What does that mean? Yeah. So it could be that they have day shifts and evening shifts, and you can be rotated through. They do that at the University of Proton Center. Their therapists in the proton site work shifts because occasionally, if you have an early day at the proton center, the proton site, there's two sites, so the proton site and the X-ray site. The proton site, if it's an early day, they stop at 10 o'clock at night. If it's a busy day, they can go through 24 hours. So they have shifts. And what benefits do you have? The other thing is that full-time or part-time, or PRN. What does PRN stand for? As needed. So you may get called in. Some PRNs are full-time, but they just don't give you benefits. So what benefits do they usually get? So healthcare, health coverage, dental coverage, eye coverage, maybe. How much time off do you get in a year? Know the organization. This is what we were talking about. Is it private or public? Is HCA private or public? You know? It's private. It's a private company. It's a for-profit company. What's the difference between for-profit and not-for-profit?
Oh, the tax breaks.
Pardon?
Aren't they the tax breaks?
Yeah. A not-for-profit hospital. They do make a profit, but they put all the profit, supposedly, they put all the profits back in to the hospital. The for-profit ones, they have their shareholders and all sorts of things. So anyway, so organization name, private or profit, private or public. What products or services? Well, we really don't need to know that one. Management team. Okay. Organization's website, searching goals, search engines. Google or Hoovers? Ever heard of Hoovers? Have you heard of Hoovers? Okay. Plug. College placement office, yeah. Networking, library or newspaper archives. Does anybody use newspaper anymore? Anyway. So, this is when you're going to the interview. Map out your route. If your appointment, this is an in-person interview. If they're doing construction, so it's either upstairs or downstairs, whichever. So this is an in-person interview. You should map out your route from your home to wherever they're going to do the interview. If the interview is on a Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, the previous Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, or before 2, obviously, you would drive it and make sure you know where you're going. And always arrive at least 15 minutes early. Okay? Refer to your appropriate business attire is a must, and we'll go over that later. Refer to your achievements often before your interview date so they're fresh in your mind. Know your answers to probable questions before you walk in the door. Okay, what kind of questions are they going to ask you? General ones first. They know your name, They know where you come from. What general questions I'm going to ask?
I don't know, maybe they'll ask you why you decided to apply to that particular place or for
Okay,
that particular job.
yeah, okay. What made you apply to this company? And what would your answer be? Because I need a job. Well,
You're
that's
the only
possible.
ones hiring.
I've heard people say that. Because I need a job. Okay.
Did you hire people who said that though?
Pardon?
Did you hire people who said that?
God, no. They had to be really good after
Yeah.
that. The other thing, before we get into the actual interview, the one thing that I would mention to you, if you're applying for a job and they ask you for your email address, make sure it is not a weird email.
Yeah, Asia.
Mine are all
What's
just my
yours?
maiden name.
Big
Asia
butt.
Martosha.
Like,
Mine
it
are all
should be
my
a
maiden names,
Gmail
too.
address or something like that. Hopefully with your name in some fashion. If you have a weird address, email address, all joking aside, it will be trashed. Anybody who's applying for a professional job, I was in an interview when I worked in Kentucky, and they were looking for an RN. And this girl should have known better, because she was an RN. And the chief nursing officer was interviewing, and I, as the manager of radiation therapy, was interviewing with her because it was an RN in the radiation therapy department. And she was looking, we were both looking through this pile of resumes, the roll paper, pile of resumes. I had one pile and she had another, and we're looking through them. And she looked at this particular resume, looked at it, and tore it up and threw it away. And I said, "What did you do that for?" And she reached in the garbage can and she brought it out. She said, "Look at the email address." And it was something like mary@sexyknickers.org. It was a weird, I think it was Hotmail either too. So, but it was just, and I'm looking at her and I said, "This is an RN." She said, "Supposedly." What was the email? sexyknickers.hotmail.com.
Maybe the question
She
was.
put that on her resume.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a new one.
We all want to know what you're
I
saying.
had mine since 5th grade. My mom set it up so it's my middle name. It's Riley Bug. I'm like, so I always feel weird saying that. I'm like, Riley Bug. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not the worst,
and
but
all joking aside, guys, if you get something with a Gmail address, which is most common, and if you can't get your name, get something that looks akin to your name, so that people know what it is. So anyway, that's just a little aside. So
I can't.
yeah. So general tips.
As annoying as Steven.
So if you have someone in the house that you can get them to ask you questions, and practice your delivery. Take a mock interview so that you can see your nonverbal communication. Oh yeah, nonverbal communication.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
I know.
So, you're appearing in an interview and you've got 3 people in front of you for your interview panel. One's the radiation therapy manager. One may be a physician. The other one might be a therapist off the floor. And they're the ones who are going to interview you.
Oh my god.
So you walk in the door and you sit down. And this is from personal experience, by the way, guys. Well, of interviewing. So this lady comes in, she sits down, she does this. What would you think?
She doesn't care.
Go away. Yeah. No, this is not the best thing to do. So what does that say to you? You're sitting like that.
Doesn't care.
What does that say to you? You don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I need the job, but I don't want to be here. So you come in, you sit straight. What do you do with your hands?
On your lap.
Something like this. Eye contact
With everybody.
with everybody. Don't stare at the dog, because he's not really the person who's going to be going to this.
So creepy.
It's the two therapists you're worried about, the manager and the person off the floor. The dog's there because he's a nosy old sod and he wants to be in and everything, so, yeah.
Same.
Okay,
It skipped forward one slide.
oh, it did, okay, it's it back, okay. So the image you present and how you present yourself will be either a deal maker or a deal breaker. So think about questions you need to ask, write them down to jog your memory. So you come in and you have a little portfolio or a folder or something with a couple extra resumes. 3 or 4 extra resumes. And a little notepad with your questions on them. Because after they're finished asking your questions, they'll ask you now, do you have any questions for us? You should have at least 2. If you don't have any, then they'll think, this is not good. You always have at least 1 or 2.
What if they have already answered them without you asking
Then you
them?
should have several other questions.
Yeah, you should have more like
Yeah,
prepared
you
just
should
in
have at
case.
least 5 questions.
Because
that you think-
typically they do like answer a lot of questions that you have in the interview process.
The other thing you can do is just ask for clarification of one of the questions.
Or could you say, well, I was gonna ask this, but you already clarified that. Could you say that? Like if
You can say that, but for example, if you were going to ask, I noticed that you have 2 sites. Will I be working at both? And they'll say, or they will say, you have 2 sites and you'll be working at both. And then for clarification, you could ask, well, which site would you think I might be working at most of the time? Because usually there's a main site and a satellite site. So, and always have a couple of questions. At this point in time, you do not ask for salary or benefits. That comes later in your next interview when there's an HR person there. They won't answer the question even if you ask it. They'll say, well, we can deal with that when HR is present. They don't want to answer questions.
How many interviews typically do you have?
Sometimes what they'll do is they'll do a phone interview first, or a Skype or whatever interview first, and then they'll bring you in for a formal face-to-face interview. And if they've done a phone interview or a WebEx interview, whatever it happens to be, then the formal interview face-to-face probably will have an HR person there. The second interview usually has one of those.
So just out of curiosity, how terrible were our interviews?
What?
So
When
I
you
said,
interviewed us for.
Like, how bad do you think our interviews were at the beginning of
Actually, not bad, not bad, not bad. There was a few interesting comments made, but no, everybody thought that you were really good.
I was not expecting it to be that deep. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really kind of difficult. We normally like to see people face to face. So it was really, this was the first time we'd ever had to do it virtually.
Yeah.
So everybody was a little weird.
Well, I was surprised that it was after we got accepted.
Yeah, well, the reason behind that, there is a logical reason behind that. I physically don't agree with it, but there was, because we get money from the state, we are not allowed to use personal interviews as part of the acceptance process. Because according to the state, that leaves it open to
Discrimination,
prejudice,
yeah.
which, as I say personally, I don't agree with that stance, but that's what we have to live with. So I did mention that to Dr. Henning when we were starting this interview process to begin with, and he said, no, you can't, I want to, there's a lot of universities and colleges use personal interviews as part of the acceptance process, but I guess we are not allowed to do that. So that's why we did it after the fact. Now, if somebody had been really awful in their interview,
Like, I really just don't care. I just am looking for something to do type of thing.
yeah, exactly, you know. Then we may have had to say, sorry, you know.
Could you have, like, approved somebody else then later?
We had 257
Oh.
applicants.
How do you
So how
decide?
did it get narrowed down to?
Is it
this
all based
12?
off of our grades?
Pardon?
Was it all based off of our grades?
But what if there's more than 12 people with the same grades?
There,
Like, do we just get lucky?
It goes off of, like,
Yeah, like, what's the
experience.
algorithm?
Like, the
basically what we
experience,
did
too.
was each of your prerequisites had a grade, and that grade had a number.
Yeah, but there's no way only 12 of us had, like, perfect scores.
No.
Oh.
So we went
Did it go into a
through-
lottery?
Pardon?
Did it go into, like, a lottery? Some schools
Well,
do
no,
that.
We took basically the first 12 people at the top of the scale. There was a couple of people that had applied to two programs, and they got accepted into the other program first. So
Oh, that's
we,
why. Okay. That happened to me too. I turned it down. I did too.
Yeah. mhm.
Good thing I didn't
Yeah.
apply to another program.
Well,
I thought
actually, I
about
didn't
it.
turn it down until I got accepted to this one because I
That's
needed
what I did.
something.
Yeah. So that's basically what happened. So 257 people. So you guys are the cream of the cream of the cream of the crop.
I don't know
Remember
about
that.
that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. No, I'm kidding.
Does that scare you?
You're like, oh no, what do we do?
Okay, so.
People are
let's get
goofy
on.
as hell.
It's like these
So
people
it's
are never
important
getting
to
jobs. Why am I
understand
even teaching this?
What you
Don't put my
cannot
name as a reference.
ask, or what you cannot get asked. So any company wish to avoid charges of discrimination, know that there are some legal minefields to avoid with respect to interview questions they may ask for positions. So arrest and police record. Well, obviously, if you're, maybe not these days, but if you're in the, if they ask you, if they want to employ a certain sex, there's only a couple of positions that will allow that. One is mammography, for obvious reasons. The other one is, only it's changing a little bit in the last 10 years, midwifery.
Oh, being a
Okay, since it's brought up,
Ask it.
Oh, God.
I need to know why in like OBGYN are there so many males? Like what guys are like, I've got to do this as
My
a
doctor
career?
was a male. He was
I
not
don't think
sensitive
I've
to
only
anything.
had females in the military. Everywhere else has been males.
OBGYNs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest.
I don't know, it always has been.
Well,
Always has been.
does a woman like to
But,
want to
I know
But why
that,
do men?
look at other?
in, where was
We
it?
have
Where
one
were we?
24/7. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I feel like
I'd be cool with
Castle.
it. Like, be like, yeah, I'll help you out.
And-
You know, I'm not weird.
You know
about it.
what?
My husband was working as a paramedic, and he was in the ER. And there's a lady came in, and she
I
was,
like labor delivery
basically the
doctors.
babe was crowning. So
Yeah.
had to get out fast, and there was no time for them to find a midwife, so my husband went in and said, do you mind if I deliver your baby? And she said, no, hell no, get it out of me, I don't care. But it's not that part of the midwife's thing, it's the pre,
Like the feelings you
Delivery
experience before
stuff.
delivery
Yeah.
and stuff, like breastfeeding.
so that's
Tell
why
the
they
man's gonna
tend
tell
to
you how to
make it a
breastfeed.
female. And mammography, obviously, is female only, but everything else, yeah. Disability. The only thing I will say to that is that if you are able to do the job, that's fine. If you're not, however, they will not employ you. So for example, in our field, you can't be in a wheelchair.
Oh,
You can't have a disability that will not allow you to lift or pull or move patients. So,
that's probably the workaround when they ask like, can you? Sometimes they'll say like, can you lift and walk a certain amount of feet
Yeah.
with 50
well,
pounds?
if you look at the advertisements for radiation therapy, at the bottom, 99% of the time, must be able to lift 50 pounds. And you must be able to stretch, bend, kneel, stand for an extended period, sit for an extended period, etc., etc., etc. So we are covered under the Disability Act, but not really, because if you can't do the job, you can't come into the field.
what happens?
Sorry,
Sorry, what happens if you get pregnant?
nothing.
Okay.
You just let me know.
No, 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 no,
Because
no,
I-
no, 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 no. I'm
Is
talking
there
about
something you might
No.
like to tell me?
no.
No.
I'm talking about like when you
I-
have the job already, like.
No, they're not allowed to ask you that, no. There was one,
Oh my god.
therapist
She's like, I
who
don't need
came
that
to me
juju.
one time and said she had gone for another job. And I said, how did it go? And she said, fine, until they asked me if I was going to get pregnant in the next 3 years.
Oh my god.
That's something that I'm not allowed to ask.
I would say,
How are you
Ugh.
supposed to know?
yeah,
Yeah, so,
by all
yeah.
your staff members. No, I'm kidding.
And I said to her, "What
Yeah, how
did
many men
say?"
you got?
It was a female who asked her, and she said, well, I knew I wasn't going to get the job anyway, so I asked her, well, are you going to get pregnant in the last 3 years?
Probably not.
So she said no. So the other thing is age. They are not allowed to discriminate for age.
Oh my god.
However, there is, sometimes what they'll do is, in the
If you weren't in the military, you couldn't do this job. I'd be like,
application form, they'll ask you where you went to high school and what dates you went to high school. So they can tell from that what your age is approximately. There is a company which shall remain nameless, but it's a Cleveland clinic, that took over some centers in South Florida where I used to work, and we were down there last week visiting. And it used to be called Martin Healthcare, which is the county that it's in. And they were well known for not interviewing or giving the job to anyone who was over 40. I don't know how they got away with it, but that was well known. And nobody has had enough evidence to take them to court as yet. But the Cleveland Clinic took over that centre, or the wellness centre, and they've kept the same thing in, that it's well known that they don't employ anyone over 40. If you're there, they will, but someone new coming in, it's well known. Anyway, that's just a side point. So that is a no-no. It's also a no-no to ask if they had military service.
Are my eyes weird, or are some of those letters different colors? Like
Your eyes are weird.
There are this,
the L and the I look.
look more green than anything else.
Okay,
Huh?
I'm just.
I don't see it.
Look
You
what?
see that?
I kind of see it.
So this I and this L,
And then in the military and even in national.
yeah. It just looks, anyway, that's the same point. So sometimes what
have a weird eye.
they'll do is, again, in the application form,
Like I can't read that.
there's a yes or no question that says military service, yes, no. That's the way they get around that sometimes.
So all of this stuff they're technically not supposed to ask you.
Exactly.
Because I've
So much of
had,
this is on standard applications.
yeah, I've had like military service and then like discharge, like they ask specifically like your discharge.
So if you're if you're in an interview and somebody says, are you married? Or what does your spouse think about that? About you moving from wherever to the new centre somewhere.
Why does it matter what you
If you're moving from,
Yeah.
say,
Fuck him.
Florida to Kentucky,
Fuck
and
you too.
what does your spouse think about you moving?
You can stay.
That officially is, you shouldn't be asking that. Because I was down in El Paso and I was being interviewed for the manager down there. And the doctors, there's two doctors, and they took me out for lunch. And the administrator was supposed to go too, but she got held up in the meeting. So they took me out for lunch, and they're chatting away, and they said, how many are you going to interview with more than one site down here? And I sort of said, no. Oh, okay then. And I came back and the administrator says, so did they ask you anything inappropriate? Because, you're going to lunch and stuff. I said, well, they asked me if I was going to interview with more than one center. They did not. I gave them strict instructions what not to ask. Yeah, so they're not allowed to really ask if you're, interviewing with the opposition, as it were. Religion, childcare, that's another one. They certainly can't ask if you're married. They certainly can't ask if you have children, or you're going to have children. Religion, definitely not. National origin or marital status. Yeah, that's the other one. So those are the things that you actually physically should not be asked.
So you can't ask if we're white?
Well, they'll be seeing you, so yeah.
I mean, but I'm Asian and you can't tell that
No,
by looking at me. So
When somebody applies and they have like a really thick, heavy accent, it's hard to understand.
join the club.
Yeah, we all know that.
I mean, like really, really
Yeah.
thick, and they're
Yours
applying
is not
for
hard to
jobs
understand.
Where you're working with a lot of patients, like
Yeah.
what would their grounds be for not? I mean, how would they go around that question?
Failure to communicate
Oh,
is
okay.
usual. Because if you, as an employer, can't understand what the employee
Megan,
is
get your-
saying,
Get your shit together.
then how is the patient's going to be able to understand that? I've worked with a lot of people who can barely, well, I won't say barely speak English, but speak English with a very thick accent. And some of the patients, I at one point was doing a three-corner conversation with a doctor and a patient and and we were all speaking English.
I think it's very uncomfortable and awkward doing that.
Yeah,
back
and the physician, we had, this was in law school, and we had a training program for residents. And this guy was Egyptian. He spoke very good English, with an accent obviously. But the area of Glasgow that the hospital was in was they had a very thick Scots accent. So this poor physician just had no idea what this poor little fellow was saying. So I was in the room and I was asking him the question. Doc asked him the question, and he turned to me and answered, and then I told the doc what he was doing. It was very good. Anyway, we were all speaking English, so that's So these are the things that you cannot ask, or you should not ask. So how do you get around that? How do you get around if somebody asks you, again, the usual way it says is, what does your spouse think about that? And you haven't mentioned in your application form that you're married.
I don't know. What does your spouse think?
Well, you very politely say that, I'm sorry, sir, I don't think you're allowed to ask that question. Of course, then, you're sitting there with a wedding ring on, and you think, okay, but no, they're not, seriously, they're not allowed to ask that. So here is,
I've 100% gotten number one before, tons of times.
what? Yeah. That's an unusual name, is it Polish? I don't know. Could be. Not allowed.
That's pretty much what I say. But then I'm like, oh, I'm married, and
Yeah,
so then
so
I've
you
given
do
them.
too, yeah,
I have
you
now
have
given them the
my
answer.
married name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. My name is actually Fisher. Very basic. People still spell it wrong, but it's fine.
So, would you have trouble working for a supervisor
Oh,
who's
I've had
younger
that
than
one
you?
before, too.
That is officially illegal as well. What are you, about 50 or so? Excuse me?
Yeah, that's the appropriate response. So for number two, like, what's the appropriate response?
The appropriate response, my appropriate response would be that I've worked with people who are younger than me for a long time and I have no problems with it.
Okay, so you just basically answer it then,
Yeah.
instead of being like, "Oh, you can't ask me that," because if you say something like
What
that,
you can actually do, in all joking aside, is, sir, I don't think that is appropriate. However, I've worked with people a lot younger than myself for a long time, and I have no problems with that. So,
Fair.
answer the question, but tell him at the beginning that it's not appropriate. Do you have children? Bleh.
What about, do you have childcare arranged?
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah. How do you manage about childcare? The job requires frequent overnight travel. Will your family obligations prevent you from meeting this requirement? Again, That's a family
But they
thing.
can ask like, will you be able to meet that requirement?
Yeah, I mean, all you have to say.
As long as
all
they're
you
not
have
bringing
to
in the
say
family.
Is, do you have any problems working at a position where you would have to have frequent overnight travel? That's all they have to say. They don't have to say about family or anything like that. The only thing, get back to the religion thing. The only way that some people can get around it is if they work for a religious hospital, like a Catholic hospital, or the Seventh-day Adventist hospitals. They may have rules that can get around the religion thing. But normally, even they don't ask. Okay, have you ever been arrested? Oh, sorry, that's none of your business. A lot of people will do a background check on you anyway. So, that might be a moot question. And what branch of the military did you serve?
I usually get that, but from like prior military.
Yeah. And if you put something on the interview and on the application form, then you've given the information anyway.
Yeah.
Like if you were corpsman and then you were applying for an out of a civilian job in healthcare, you would automatically know anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry. There are other people in Utah except Mormons.
Not much, but there are.
Yeah,
Salt Lake City.
that's obviously. I mean, they're going overboard here, but some
I read it
people
as
will
moron.
say that.
Same.
I mean, that's the first thing a lot of people think about, and your address is Salt Lake City. Oh, you must be Mormon. Somebody else survives.
Salt Lake City is not Mormon.
I was going to a conference in Salt Lake, and somebody said to me, "Oh, you won't get coffee there." I said, "What do you mean you won't get coffee there?" "Well, it's Utah. Mormons don't drink coffee." I said, "Yeah, but there's other people in Utah."
Did you get coffee?
Yeah, so we went to McDonald's, yeah. Will your disability prevent you from bending and stooping? So there are some people in this field who have problems with their backs. Normally, not people coming into the field, but people who have been in the field for a while. And they have problems with their backs or their legs or their arms or whatever it happens to be. And they can no longer lift 50 pounds. And they can no longer push and pull patients. So this is a problem. But if it's part of the job description, that could be asked in a different way. Okay, tell me about yourself. Yeah. So they'll ask you, tell me about yourself. Don't ramble. They don't want to know your life story. What are your strengths? Make a list. So what are your strengths? Give me some. Give me some strengths.
Hard worker.
Hard worker.
It's like a
Flexible.
physically strong.
Physically strong. Okay. Don't do that.
Do that.
Not in an interview. Don't
Do that and let me know how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're physically
The beach
strong.
is that
Stephen
way.
can't do that.
That's not, unfortunately, that's not what they want to hear. So you're flexible. You'll work around everybody. You
How would you say that you have experience working with a variety of personality types?
I have
Get along well with others.
experience working with personality types, yeah. Yeah.
It just seems kind of weird.
I have worked with many different people, many different types of people. Flexible. What else? Give me another strength. Okay. Let's change to weaknesses. And
My strengths are also my weaknesses.
it is not acceptable to say that I have no weaknesses because everybody does.
Very empathetic.
Pardon?
Very empathetic, sympathetic.
Very empathetic. Okay.
I don't know the difference.
What else? Is that a weakness?
It
Oh,
can
wow.
be
It could be a strength and a weakness.
Okay, so what would a weakness be then?
Mine's coleslaw.
Pardon?
Coleslaw.
Oh my God, Steven.
I'm not good.
So weakness would be.
You could
something
say like sometimes I don't have the best memory. However, I work on that by like writing things down.
Yeah.
Good job,
So
Valerie.
the
Thank
one
you.
thing you want to do with a
I went to
weakness
TAPS.
is
I don't remember.
quantify
You
or
went.
qualify it with saying, but just what you said, but I'm working on doing this. If you are a procrastinator, I procrastinate, but I'm working on it by giving myself time limits
Deadline.
or something like that. What else could be a weakness? Never say that I'm late for everything. Please don't ever say that. What else? What else could you say was a weakness? Nobody's got any weaknesses, huh? Oh,
That was my weakness. I
no,
forget things, so I write things down.
that's fine. Yeah, that's a weakness.
I get mean when I get hungry.
Yes, I
That's
do
something I
too.
should tell them?
Angry.
You get
I
hangry?
get very
So,
angry.
Yeah, tell them I get hangry, so I keep snacks in my pocket.
Yeah,
No.
too.
Not allowed.
Yeah, I get hangry, but I do.
No. That is not a weakness. That's something that you don't want to hear. Thank you very much.
There we go. Now we don't know what you're looking for.
Speaking
of which.
How would your current or last boss describe you? Be honest and maybe talking to him or her.
They love me.
I had a ton of bosses. So
Their last boss. Your best
So-
friends with your boss.
Remember, they will be talking, whether you put them down as a reference or not, they will be talking to them.
What if you don't
So-
put it on your resume?
Pardon?
What if you don't put them on your resume?
You should. What if they can't find it? Then,
I lost mine.
gone. Then that's fine. So what about the boss before that then?
Call the Air Force directory.
Describe the attributes of the worst boss you've ever had. It says, treat this as a minefield and
I've
this
never
thing
gotten
will blow
that.
up in your face. Try to put a positive spin on the negative attributes. So think about a bad boss,
I need 3
a
words to
very
describe
bad boss.
a boss that you would like.
What
that you wouldn't
would-
like.
Oh, wow.
What would you say to that? Describe the attributes of the worst boss you've ever had. You
Ghost
had,
everybody out.
pardon?
Potty mouth, ghost everybody out.
No, that's not it, Steven.
Terrible
If you're
attitude.
That's not
going
it,
to say
Steven.
that,
You'll be jobless.
you
Yeah.
say it in a better way. If they were,
My old boss had no filter, but at
to
least I
be
knew I stood at all
rude,
times.
they would be.
That's a good one.
not in control, that type of thing. Never use things like cuss people out or call them out or things like that. Find a better way to say it.
Because at that point, you're just like talking bad about them.
Yeah. You don't
And they're going to be
wanna
like,
do
what are you
that.
going to say about me?
You don't want to do that. I had a boss who, to quote one of my colleagues, couldn't organize a booze up in a brewery. So she was very disorganized, extremely disorganized. So what I told somebody I was interviewing with was that she was an extremely nice person, very accommodating, but was disorganized. I mean, she'd do anything for you, but ask her to find something at her office and she was gone. She couldn't find anything. She stood up and looked at her desk. So, yeah. So you never actually, whoops, you
Oh
never
my God.
actually
Oh my God.
badmouth anyone. It's okay, it's all pathetic. Describe a conflict or disagreement you had at work and explain how you handled it. Everybody's had their conflict at work, right? Yes? How did you handle it?
Oh,
No
shut the
balls.
fuck up. Let's take this to the parking lot.
Hmm?
Huh?
It's a little different in the military.
Okay. Things like you had a disagreement with a coworker. How did you solve it? Or did you solve it? Did you just say, okay, I agree to disagree? You can't do that in this field, you see. You can't say, sorry, I agree to disagree. You have to work it out somewhere.
What if you're applying for your first job?
And you've had no work experience?
Use your school experience.
In that case, if you had a conflict at school, perhaps, with another student. how do
We
you
can have a
manage
conflict right now. And then we can just have a conflict right now. So that way you have something to
Oh my
put.
So you want to fight
to- So how would you deal with that though? I mean, somebody says
Yeah,
that,
Steven,
you know,
parking lot.
well, you shouldn't be in that clinical setting, but I don't want to. How would you deal with that? Leave it on me. But no,
I
if you
called
had
dibs.
a disagreement with a fellow student over something, how would you deal with it?
Talk it out.
Talk it out, yeah, talk it out. And if the pair of you can't get to talk it out, what would you do?
Mediator.
A mediator, a third person who comes in, tell you another story. I've been around here, I've been around too long, I've got all these stories. Again in Kentucky, we had a major ongoing problem with our nurses and our radiation therapists. They did not get on. Each one thought that the other one was poaching the work that they were supposed to do. The nurses thought that they should be in charge of all the health, all the skincare. And the therapist said that they should at least have some deal with that. So it just got past the joke. So basically I got called in and then, you have to fix this. So I asked for a volunteer from both nurses and therapists. And I said, okay, be in my office, 2:00 this afternoon, and we'll hash it out. So the pair of them came in, and one sat on this side and one sat way over there. And I said, okay. I shut the door and I said, anything said in this office does not leave this office. And I said, I have one rule, don't throw furniture. Apart from that, you can save your life. Took them 2 hours to hash it out. But they got it sorted so that they were actually in agreement with what they wanted to do. And it was never, friendly. Well, it was kind of friendly. They were never best buddies, but at least they could work together, which is what we wanted. But it was interesting. So, how do you react with criticism? It says no time for the ego. So, how do you react to criticism? If someone comes up and says to you, that's not the best way to do it. I'll show you how to do it properly. And you think you know how to do it. How would you react?
Double check to make sure that I am in fact doing it
It just
properly.
depends on the situation. I mean,
Yeah,
if
how it's brought.
we're
to
in
you.
clinic, obviously,
Well,
sure, show me what to do. Show me what to do.
if you think about something that you do well, and someone comes up to you and says, that's not the right way to do it, let me show you. And you know damn well that you're doing it correctly. That's criticism, right? How do you react to that?
Thanks.
Yeah, well, that's an
Pretty normal.
interesting way to do it.
Cool. Yeah,
Thanks. Have a
Yeah.
good day.
and then you go back to doing it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So give an example of a risk you took at work or school and how it turned out. What did you learn from the outcome?
I try not to take risks.
That's a kind of difficult one.
I went to Taco Bell.
I know. I really pushed my lunch
Okay.
period.
Yeah. Okay, so, leave the managerial style out, but why do you want to leave your current employer? A prospective employer doesn't want to hear a list of grievances against your current employer, so you want to be positive. What made you leave whatever you were doing to come and apply for us? Apply for this job?
I feel like I gained everything that I could have from that location, and I would only benefit me to move on and learn new things from you.
Perfect. Molly for
So you're being
president.
positive about the last job. You don't wanna say, well, the staff were dreadful and the manager, well, so, yeah, you're making it positive. Even if they were stupid.
Would it be okay to say like, there's nothing wrong with that place at all, this is just a better location for me?
Yeah.
Like if it's like a location
Yeah,
reason that
yeah.
you're moving?
Yeah, I wanted to be closer to wherever, yeah. Yeah. And what was your most important contribution to your last or current employer? So perhaps you made a spreadsheet for something and then now using it throughout the company or something like that. What accomplishments in your life are you most proud? Well, we're not there yet, hang on. What accomplishments in your life, not professional life, but your life, are you most proud of?
My degree.
Could be something as simple as having a baby.
We're not supposed to
Or,
talk about whether or not we have.
well,
No, they
no, but
just
if
can't
you
ask.
introduce the
can.
subject,
You
Yeah.
can't ask, but you can say. Kind of fish it out.
or perhaps you were in a clerical position and you introduced a new piece of software to the department or something like that. And here's the one that, Stephen wanted to do. Would you hire you for this job?
Yes.
Of course I would, Yeah, stupid question.
Heck yeah, I'm the best.
Hell yeah, I'd give myself a
I'm
salary.
strong.
Why should he hire you over all
Strong.
the finalists for this position? Of course, you won't know their credentials, so focus on your own. So why would we hire you instead of everybody else that's applied?
Because then your job of hiring somebody would be done.
Look no further.
Pardon?
I said, look no further.
Yeah,
This is
So-
where you have to really talk yourself up. Which is
yeah, so
Difficult.
I am willing to work hard in the department. From what I gather, you're a patient-centered department, and I like that. I will be flexible. I'll do anything within my scope to help patients, help the department and the patients succeed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Relate on things. What motivates you?
Oh, we're not supposed to say money.
No.
Killing cancer.
One of my former bosses, when she was on an interview panel with me, she'd sit still and she'd stand and she'd sit there with her arms crossed, listening to everybody else. And I remember turning to her and I said, "Do you have an opinion? Do you have a question?" And she looked at the person and said, "Yeah, what's your hobbies?" That was the only thing she wanted to know. What were her hobbies? What are your hobbies? What do you do to, here's another one, avoid stress? How do you cope with
Work.
stress? Outside work. How do you cope with stress? This is a stressful position, guys. It's a stressful field. You have to have a way to get stressed out.
Therapy.
Running, okay. What else?
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach. Yeah, why not?
Binge Netflix.
Why not?
That's what we make candles on our phone.
Watch
Oh, you
TV.
do? For real?
Yeah.
Why not?
You do what?
Make candles. This is the kind of thing that
Shit,
they're.
I
I'll
know.
send some pics to the group chat.
Okay.
I will.
Do you have an
Okay.
Etsy store?
But no, but I get them out on Mondays and stuff.
Okay,
I'll give
here's
you
a good
both
one.
one.
Guys,
No, I never heard of one.
describe a high pressure situation you had to. Oh.
Wait. Wait.
Okay, so let's go to the next one.
Can we make candles together
Okay,
when we're not so
I have a
busy?
couple
so
pounds for that.
professional
Oh my
rest.
gosh.
Okay, so
Well, I'll just make candles together.
I'll send me your favorite colors, and
Blue.
I'll make you a colored candle. Do you want like seashells or something in it?
Sure.
first impressions, ladies and gentlemen. Take 7 seconds to make your first impression. 55% based on how you look and act. 38% based on the sound and the tone of your voice. And only 7% is based on what you say. If you're walking into a department to have an interview, where does the interview start?
The second they
walk
see
in the
you,
door,
they got cameras. They might be
the first
watching on the
person that you
cameras.
meet is usually the receptionist if you've reached the right place. If you haven't, then you need to get someone to show you where the right place is. So you walk into the department, you're met with the receptionist at the front desk. You go in and you say, "Good morning. My name is so-and-so. I'm here for an interview with Ms. whatever her name is." And they'll say, "Oh, yes, thank you. Please have a seat. She will put you in a moment." And then she's on the phone and tells them. She will be asked what she thought of you.
And they'll be watching you too, so you don't like sit on your phone.
Pardon?
They'll be watching you like while you wait. So you don't like
Yeah.
sit on your phone.
So you want to have something that you need to do. So you said you may take a book with you so that you can read while you're watching. Or you may have your
Notes.
portfolio open to make sure that you haven't thought of another question that you want to ask. And if you have a portfolio or something, make it a professional type one, not one with Mickey Mouse on the back or something. Or, I went to Disneyland or somewhere, make it up.
I might like
Okay,
Disney.
so, general tips. Business professional attire, business casual. Undergarments, accessories. Okay, so,
Undergarments.
ladies, let's start with Stephen first. Stephen, you're going to an interview for a radiation therapist position. How do you dress?
A button down.
Have a nice
Maybe a jacket too.
Pardon?
business casual, so I'd probably,
What do you count as business casual?
I'd wear a nice pair of slacks that are fitted, warm, they still have grease in them, nice pair of dress shoes. Not solid black, but a matte color.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like, a nice button-up shirt. I'm not gonna wear a tie, it's a little bit too formal. I do.
Wear a tie.
Wear a tie?
Wear a tie.
I wear a bow tie.
No.
I
Have
love
you
bows.
ever ties
No,
to
but I
dress?
have a bow tie.
Wear a bow tie.
You can't be overdressed.
You
but
don't
can
want to be
be
overdressed.
I
Business
think bow ties are like
professional
party.
would be
If I see
a
a bow
normal
tie,
tie and a sports
I love
jacket.
bow ties.
Okay.
A blazer or
So
a
cute.
tweed jacket or something. Yeah.
Like dogs.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be somewhat beneficial to not, obviously you wouldn't wanna go overboard, but a bow tie versus a regular tie, if you wanna represent who you are a little bit, but still be dressed nice.
Yeah.
You don't wanna go in there pretending to be a completely different person than
No,
you really are.
But if you, let's put it this way, if you normally wear bow ties, and there are some people that do, kind of weird, but there are some people that do, then wear the bow tie. But if you're dressed to the nines, if you're going out for a nice dinner, or you're going to a party or
I'll
something,
put trial on a bow
and you
tie.
normally would wear a tie, would it be a bow tie or would it be a normal dress tie?
I've only worn a regular tie like twice. It'd probably be a bow tie, because I've worn that probably 30 or 40 times.
Then wear a bow tie. If you're going
Damn, where
home
do you
with a bow tie, wear a bow
go?
tie.
Music, perform,
So,
MPA.
and with your portfolio. And you want to be well groomed,
Always.
right? Okay, so ladies, what would you wear?
Skirt or slacks. Heels.
Hell yeah.
Black or blue. Blue is a power color.
Doesn't have
I learned a lot from
to
Tab.
the confidence.
So, what color of, okay, your suit would be blue, right? Or black?
Yep, blue or black.
Blue or black?
Blue is a
Heels?
power color.
A low heel.
Yeah, low heel.
You have to make sure you walk.
Probably
Yeah,
black.
You have to remember you have to walk.
But they do prefer, from what I've heard, heels over like flats. But like they said, like a low heel.
Whatever you're most comfortable in, but what I would suggest you don't do is platform heels yay high.
Right.
Stilettos.
No,
Stilettos.
nobody can walk in heels that high.
People can, but
Seriously, nobody can walk
Right.
properly in heels.
I don't wear those anyways.
So, yeah, comfortable heel, maybe 2-inch heel,
Yeah, or
something like
less.
that. Closed toe, no open toes,
Oh no.
okay?
Big deal. Walmart. You're fine. You'll be fine.
Have your chest covered.
Well, we'll get there, we'll get there.
Chloe.
So, what about blouse?
Crew.
You're in South Florida, remember, so I would say a button-up blouse or a sweater, but we're in South Florida, so,
Oh, I wear it anyways. I got tattoos.
yeah. So long sleeve blouse, but you're wearing a jacket anyway. So what color of shirt would you wear?
Probably white.
White, yeah. Or perhaps a lighter blue than your suit,
Mhm.
but make sure it's a tone. Don't make it so that it's turquoise and you've got royal blue. That kind of goes kind of weird. Although royal blue and emerald green does very well. Anyway, white. White is safe. And you've got heels. Okay. Why does it say undergarments?
Don't let them show.
So you're wearing pants, you're wearing slacks.
You don't want your butt cheek creased.
What about a skirt? A
Long
suit skirt.
past your knees at least.
That's what you call long. Okay.
That's what I said at least.
yeah. So that if you sit down, it doesn't ride up to your thighs. Yeah. Okay. And it's better if you have an A-line skirt, not a pencil skirt. You know what I mean by the difference?
Yes.
Yeah. What happens in a pencil skirt?
Oh, that goes up.
You sit down and it runs up to here. So an A-line skirt is better if you're wearing a skirt. If you're wearing a skirt,
Long, it goes
however,
out.
ladies, no bare legs.
Pantyhose.
That's professional. And as I said, no open shoes. And certainly no flip-flops or sandals. Okay.
Shopping.
So what about you've got a year yet, guys, give it a break. Accessories, so hair, makeup, jewelry, okay. Hair,
Not your face.
Yeah.
Not.
washed, clean,
Professional.
tidy. Now, if you're applying for a clinical position, you might want to have your hair off of your face. It doesn't have to be up, because if you're in clinic, they'll know that you put it up anyway. But sometimes what will happen is if you go for a clinical position, like one of ours, then they may tell you beforehand that they'll want you to actually work on the machine for a couple hours, which means that you would have to have your hair up.
Would you like bring scrubs with you?
No. What they'll do is they'll give you a white coat if they want
Oh,
you to
okay.
go onto the machines. It's just a case of seeing what they do and what have you. So no, don't take scrubs. Makeup,
Professional.
natural. Yeah. Please, no false eyelashes.
Who's to say that's not professional?
Okay, so,
Nobody's.
no, what, all joking aside, natural makeup. No perfumes. Jewelry,
Light.
yeah,
Minimal.
minimal jewelry. So like we said, rings, basic earrings, studs. Now you would say if you're going for an interview, you're not in scrubs, so you can wear dangly earrings, but these are not professional. Dangly earrings are not professional. So you want them either tiny little boobs or studs, whichever you prefer. Your hands. Obviously, you have to make sure where your hands are. What about nails?
Short,
If
clean.
you're going for a professional interview, no artificial nails. No chip polish, no dark polish. Shoes we already covered, hosiery we already covered, perfume we already covered. Cologne, Stephen, is the same for you, no cologne. Okay. I know that if you use aftershave, there's some, but try and put minimal. Okay. So again, hair, jewelry, hands, shoes, and cologne. Same undergarments, same for males as females. You only get one chance to make a first impression. The first impression is the one of the major elements on which people judge you. So if you come in for an interview and you've got a t-shirt and jeans on, what am I supposed to think?
You don't care?
This guy's not, or this person's not professional. Do we want him or her in the department? No. If this is him or her coming in for a professional interview and they're in jeans and a t-shirt and flip-flops, no.
What if they come into you, they're like, I'm so sorry for my house went on fire yesterday.
You're gonna have to change.
You don't have anything.
I mean, you might call and then say that there's an emergency. May we reschedule
Well, yeah.
or something if your house catches on fire.
Yeah. But you have to make the effort. If you come in t-shirt and jeans for a professional medical radiation therapy interview, I can guarantee you, you're not getting the job. Because of the way that you are dressed. You could be the best therapist in the world and you won't get the job. Your attire plays a supporting role. Yes. Good hygiene, dress conservatively. Rule of thumb, dress like your supervisor. Be confident. So, good hygiene, obviously. Clean hair. Pressed clothes. I know nobody uses an iron anymore.
I do sometimes.
You do?
Sometimes.
Okay. Then iron
Special occasions.
things. Or if you're wearing a suit, have it cleaned. Take it to the dry cleaners. I know there aren't that many around anymore, but take it to the dry cleaners. Dress conservatively, which means that if you are used to wearing short shorts or jeans, or especially torn jeans, please do not wear them. And it says dress like your supervisor, but most of the supervisors that will be interviewing you will be either in scrubs or business attire with a white coat over the top. So you're actually better to overdress than underdress. And be confident. Business professional attire for an interview, if it's a required dress code at work, at networking events or job fairs. When in doubt, ask. What is appropriate? Well, there's a suit. The person who dresses professionally has a better chance of making a positive impression than a person who does not. So if you don't have a suit, Stephen, if you don't have a suit, then wear slacks and a sport coat and a button-down shirt and a tie. Ladies, you can either, whatever's most comfortable, either a pantsuit or a skirt suit. I know that few people use skirt suits anymore, but some people like to see people in skirts. It's
That's
just
weird.
more,
That seems a little less conservative.
I was gonna say feminine, but that's sexist. So if,
Well, anybody who
some people
prefers to
think
see
it
a
looks
woman in
more,
a skirt is sexist.
It looks
So.
more professional on a female than a pantsuit does.
I think pantsuits on
Because
women look way
some
better.
people wear a
Yeah.
pantsuit, but their pants are too tight. And that ruins the look.
Only 5 years ago.
I mean, yeah, but
So whatever you feel better in, if you feel better in a pantsuit, then wear a pantsuit. If you never ever wear a skirt suit, you decide to wear a skirt suit for an interview, then you'll probably be self-conscious.
Yeah.
So wear a pantsuit.
I'm not gonna find
So suits should be freshly, women, of course men too, should be freshly pressed and properly tailored to fit your body type. Skirt length should be at the knee or longer, because when you sit down, it comes up. Pants, the bottom of the pants should not hit the floor. If wearing heels, the hemline of the pants should fall between the top of the heel and mid-heel.
Okay, see, we're getting into military standards here.
This goes also just to make sure that I'm gonna diverge a little bit. That goes also for scrubs. Scrub pants should not hit the floor. In your white shoes or sneakers or whatever you're wearing, the pants should not go onto the floor. There's nothing worse than seeing someone in scrubs and they've got black around the hem and it's fraying because it's been on the floor. Okay, blouses, short or long sleeve preferable, depending on of course if you're in Florida, short sleeve probably. Appropriate neckline, avoid sheer blouses, tucked into pants or skirt, and no flamboyant colors. So appropriate neckline, what would that mean?
I keep hearing this whistle,
It's there.
and it sounds like the ship whistle.
So if you're wearing
Like
a
the what?
button-up
Ship
blouse,
whistle.
Oh, I hear a whistle. I haven't been on the ship, but.
if you're wearing a button-up blouse, the first button should be undone, maybe the first two buttons should be undone. It should not come past here. Okay. I don't want to see buttons all the way down here and boobs showing. That is not good.
I've always heard put your hand right here, and if you look down, you can still see skin. It's too low.
Yeah. Yeah. Avoid sheer blouses. Now you're wearing, everybody will say, but you're wearing a jacket. Yeah, okay. But if your jacket is open, you can still see the blouse, so no sheer blouses. Tuck your blouse into your shirt or skirt or pants. Never have it over shirt. Like this. And no loud flamboyant colors. So we don't want to have a screaming orange or something like that. And the same for the guys. Suits should be freshly dressed and properly tailored to fit your body type. Bottom of the pants should not hit the floor. Avoid the European skinning, tight, cut pants. Okay. Oh yeah, that's weird. Short and long sleeve preferable. Remember, you're in Florida. You'll have a jacket on. Appropriate necktie should be to the top button. You should not, if you're wearing a tie, you should not be able to see the top button of your shirt. And tucked into pants, not open. Okay. Appropriate to wear business casual, not for an interview. If the required dress code at work, casual Friday is not recommended for an interview. When in doubt, ask. Follow the same guidelines for professional attire as to fit and length of skirt and pants. Jacket is not required for a business casual. Well-pressed khakis are okay, avoid denim. Skirt, cardigans, knit tops. And you can add color. So here's your business attire. So the top right, sorry, your top left. That's a reasonable neckline. Pants. Skirt. Now hopefully she'll have a jacket on top of that. This would be business casual. These are all business casual. Well, this is business casuals. What it?
Except for their legs, right?
Well, yeah, this is a little short. And it's a pencil
Yeah, but
skirt,
then you say
so,
like you can't have bare skin showing, right? You said that?
yeah.
Pantyhose.
That's why I was
Maybe
working.
they're wearing nude pantyhose.
There's your business casual for the guys. That's why I said you had to wear a tie.
Tuesday is a little too casual to me.
Those are too casual. Of course, the majority of the cases you guys will be wearing scrubs. So the only time you'll actually get to wear business suits is for your interview. And if you're maybe at a conference or something, undergarments, so you can shut your ears for a minute, Stephen. I don't think there's anything that, invest in shapewear provides a blemish-free, streamlined look, slim stuffs, and that's your going. Okay, bras should be modest and fill appropriately and get fitted, yeah. Underwear modest and appropriate full coverage.
Why would somebody say
Keep it
that?
simple. Here,
Keep it simple,
always
stupid.
neat and clean for an interview, preferably
simple,
off your
stupid.
face or pull back and long. Skip the hair accessories and avoid loud hair color. So don't go and get a green rims or something.
Green what? What'd you say?
Rims.
Oh, rin.
Your hair.
Oh.
Yeah. So don't go ahead and do that. Makeup. Enhance your natural beauty and stick to neutral colors. Avoid heavy makeup and shiny lip glosses. Avoid clumpy mascara and droom brows. And avoid body accessories, simple necklace, small earrings, and any promise, engagement, and/or wedding band is sufficient. If you have multiple ear piercing, wear only one set of earrings. Remove all facial piercings. Multiple tattoos should be covered. Hands, clean nails, get a manicure. Nail polish should be clean or neutral. Closed toes, especially when we're in business professional, polished and scrub free and no higher than 3 inches. Who here can wear more than 3-inch heels? Oh, Lord. Okay. Not to an interview, please. Try and get lower heels for your interview. I used to wear.
Depends on how drunk I am.
For an interview, it is recommended that you wear hosiery when wearing a skirt or dress suit. If working, check the dress code policy. It may be optional with some employers. Of course, you're wearing scrubs most of the time. So, for the interview, if you're wearing a skirt suit, yeah. Don't wear any. Hurt you. Especially in healthcare. Hair, always neat and clean. For an interview, fresh cut hair, if long hair, must be neatly up and out of the face completely. Skip the hair accessories and avoid loud hair color. Guys, too. Oh, shucks. No lumberjack beards. Groom, brows and mustache, etc. Avoid colored jewelry, a simple necklace, wedding band is sufficient. If multiple ear piercers, remove them, especially if you're in the interview. Remove all facial piercings and cover tattoos. So, which one is good? Yeah.
Definitely the right.
I mean, I guess
I
it depends
really
on
dig
where
the
you're
hoodie.
flying.
No, that doesn't apply anywhere.
I mean, if you're gonna go with the surf shop on the beach, he would be totally fine.
He's wearing too much clothes, too many clothes for that. Okay. No.
Fired. More like not fired.
Yeah.
What the hell is he wearing?
What do you see there? First impressions, ladies and gentlemen.
He's too old.
Her
Yeah,
guy with
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
you notice his t-shirt, right? First thing?
American Eagle.
And maybe the belt.
I know that this guy is dressed better, but he looks like his clothes are too big for him.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they look very floppy.
Yeah, and I hate this.
That's almost just
This-
as
this is
lazy
one of my bugs.
Yeah.
to me.
This,
12
the
inches of
bottom.
excess
Yeah.
fabric at the bottom.
Yeah, I hate that. Okay. This is reasonable, although I certainly wouldn't have this.
No.
What is
No.
this?
Is that a
It's,
necklace?
A watch.
And a scarf.
What? Is it a clock tower?
Yeah, it's like a grandfather clock, only it's a little watch.
That's so unnecessary.
That's
She
the
should
only
wear
thing
that.
I would,
down.
and maybe the hair back a little bit. Be sure wear clothing that fits well, is not wrinkled, and is comfortable. In addition to clothing choices, bring a little bit of, something and self-confidence to be successful in getting the job.
We should have a
So this may be something that she's worn all of her
probably
life,
will
so.
for when we do interviews.
Okay, quiz. Okay. Is this appropriate for an interview?
Yes.
Yes.
The red? That's very
Oh,
bright.
yeah, I don't know about the red.
Loud. And she's got open-toed shoes.
Oh yeah.
So open-toed shoes, look at her neckline too.
But she's trying to pick somebody up.
Yeah, so
Bottom right
she's
is
got
fine.
It's
Well, why they
a
even make
wrap
suits like
over,
that?
uh,
Yeah, because
neutral color, non-neutral color, open-toed shoes, neckline, no blouse underneath. So that is inappropriate. So this one, properly tailored, neutral color, blouse appropriate neckline, hair away from face, natural makeup. Okay. Which piece of jewelry is appropriate for work and or an interview? So are those
yeah.
Yes.
appropriate?
I mean, as long as they're not massive, kind of hard to tell how big they are.
Small neutral color, okay.
You
Woo!
know,
What about those? No. Too chunky, not simple.
Look at these cool ass crocs.
Okay.
I'm guessing, by looking at that, it looks like a.
Oh, yowza.
Well, if you had a blue, apart from the size of the heel and the platform, if you
The
had
blue.
a blue suit, that might work for the color, but it's far too high.
I also think it's too bright. Yeah.
So height heel above 3 inches of bright color. So black.
Is blush pink considered neutral?
No.
Oh,
Like it's really light.
I would have said yeah.
Like for a shirt under.
For a shirt underneath, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were wearing a black suit, for example, yeah, that would be nice.
And your shoes can be the color of your shirt.
No,
Oh,
black. No. So appropriate heel length, neutral color, clean and polished. Okay. So, another part of the impression is your communication skills. Speak proper English at all times. Please do not use slang words at any time. Make eye contact when interacting with management or customers. Be prepared to answer hard questions. Use proper English when writing emails or other correspondence. Good posture and body language are important. So, which one?
Left.
Obviously, the one on the left.
Of course, they don't have anything in there about don't use emojis.
That is not proper English anymore.
How do you use
I've
emojis
seen
in
a lot of
person?
emails with,
Yeah.
like built into their
Yeah,
template.
yeah. So, do's and don'ts for communication. So, do, verify the message was heard. Be specific and prepared. Provide solid, tangible practical evidence. Listen, leave out buzzwords. Be patient and persistent. Be candid and open. Be isolating from interruptions or have the facts in logical order. Don't forget to follow up. Be domineering or demanding. Pretend to be an expert if you're not. Oops. Be vague or offer opinions. Talk down to them. Leave things open to interpretation. Decide form. Be curt, cold, or tight-lipped. That is communication. Okay. Always strive to be the best job you can be, no matter what the task. Learn the culture of your company as well as the department. Don't create conflict or issues when there are changes. Be seen as an asset, not a liability. You must be flexible and understand there will always be expansion or enhancement in your company and the nature of successful business. Do not use personal electronics in the workplace. Change is difficult but a necessary part of life. Unfortunately, in this field, change is an ongoing problem. You wait 6 months and things will change. Personal electronics in the workplace. Remember what we said? No cell phones. Okay. Questions? Oh, here are interview questions, just so that you can do some stuff. Okay, tell me about yourself. This is probably the most asked questions in an interview. Breaks the ice to get you to talk about something you should be very comfortable with. The interviewer isn't just interested unless asked to do so. Stick to your education, career, and current situation. Work through it chronologically from furthest back to present. Do not tell what you did in elementary school. They don't really want to know that. They don't want to know anywhere back further than college. Why are you looking for another job? The other one, actually, before, I'll send you those so that you can do them. But the one thing that a lot of people do is if they had a break in their resume, like 3 years because you had a baby and you were raising it, why did you have a break in the resume? I'll ask that. What happened in the 2 years or 3 years between this job and this job? What were you doing? Yeah.
Stay home and raise children.
Exactly. And that's fine. It could be that you got downsized from your job and it took you 2 years to find another one. Which is, you know, a couple of years ago, that's what was happening. You just kept looking for jobs and never actually got any. Why do you want this job? Oh, there's a good one. Yeah. Here's what our research does. Provide special. Put some thought into this beforehand. Be specific and link the company's values and mission statement to your own goals and career plans. Here's another good one. What would your previous co-workers say about you?
Have a few fun.
Yeah.
All good except for one.
Yeah.
It's always that.
So, yeah, well, that's fine. So you can say, well, I got on with everyone except I had a little bit of a, not a misunderstanding, but a personal conflict or an interpersonal conflict with one of them. There's interpersonal conflicts with people in the department all the time. You can't expect to get on with everyone. How do you handle stress? How do you handle stressful situations and working under pressure. Think about that one. Okay. It's 25 past. I have this meeting to barge in on. So